Right now, did Obama's involvement when it comes to background checks and the gun bill actually kill it? Well, one of the co-sponsors says that's exactly what happened. GOP members didn't want to get on board, even if they agree with it, with anything associated with our president. What has come to D.C.? And next, Ted Cruz voted against Sandy funding, but he's still being headlined in a New York GOP event. Question is, should he be? And later, Ray Kelly says NYPD actually understopping African Americans. We'll talk about that as well. And hey, we'll talk about the Knicks killing us all last night, and a very jam-packed 60 minutes. And as you can guess from Tom, who you'll see in a second, the Rangers will probably come up as well. Good evening. Welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French. Thanks so much for joining us this Thursday evening, May 2nd. Let's start tonight with what I consider to be even worse than I thought how bad D.C. had gotten to. Mid-April, Senate, they killed that bipartisan proposal to expand background checks. That much you know. You might have been wondering why. Legislation, you would think it would pass. 91% of Americans support it. Well, today, we may have our answer. Now, this comes from one of the co-sponsors of the bill, okay? The Republican who signed on with the Democrat to do the watered-down version, Pat Toomey here from the state of Pennsylvania. He gave this explanation why the thing never made it through. Quote, and this is a direct quote, "In the end, it didn't pass because we're so politicized. There were some on my side who didn't want to be seen helping the president do something he wanted to get done, just because the president wanted to do it." Let that sink in. Well, if you think that he's alone, a new poll suggests that he might be onto something. When asked if people approve of the way that the president is handling the gun policy here, the results, not good for a commander-in-chief. He sees higher disapproval than approval. But when asked if gun control laws ought to be made more or less strict, the strict wins the day, going away. How pathetic is that? All right, I want to bring in our panel on this. Tom Doherty, as you can see, a huge Capitals fan, former advisor to Governor George Pataki, and now a partner with Mercury, a national public affairs firm. Dominic Carter, political journalist and author and huge hockey fan. And Andrew Whitman, senior political correspondent. Listen, Andrew, I start with you. Are you freaking kidding me? Really? People, forget, I get it, I'm not naive. This isn't about principle all the time. But to say out loud, hey, they believe in this, they want to vote for it, but they can't do it, even if it'll make America safer because the president wants to do it, it's like romper room cubed.
But isn't this what we've been hearing from the GOP?
I didn't think it was this bad,
since 2010. I mean, Mitch McConnell, with the top priority is to make sure Obama doesn't win another term.
Read the entire quote, though, Andrew. That wasn't. But you know that was not the entire quote. So just don't say that.
And there are reports from meetings at gatherings of Republican senators where they essentially said the same thing. We can't work with the president on anything because we don't want to give him a political victory. So it's not that surprising. The one upside to all of this is I think it may be buoying public support when it comes to background checks, and I think we may be reaching a tipping point in the not-too-distant future.
I'll get to that, Tom, because there's been some polls here that show a trend. I'm not talking about New York and New Jersey or something nationally, but come on. I mean, even if you've been a hardened guy, you've seen the underbelly of politics up close here, this is bad.
No, I think this is politics, and it happens every day on both sides of the aisle. And let me tell you where this began. This goes back to when Obama, Pelosi, and Reid shoved Obamacare down the throats of everybody, held no hearings, included no Republican in it, et cetera, et cetera. And listen, it's nice that in the last month or two he's had a couple of dinners. But you know what? As the polls said, no one has any confidence that this president puts his neck out there other than trot the victims out there, hold a press conference publicly, admonish the GOP that they're out of touch, et cetera. He doesn't work the room. He doesn't invite them over for drinks. Let's figure this out together.
Let's say he's the biggest jerk on two legs to even make your point.
Right.
I have a different one. When George W. Bush wanted to try and get immigration reform, Dominic, who voted for it? Who supported it? The Democrats, okay? We have history replete in this country where if somebody supports something, they believe in it, they'll vote it. It's not exactly a courageous vote when 91% of Americans wanted this thing. So to hear out loud that members of his own party didn't do it because the president liked it, what does it say about that person?
How about the members of his own party that didn't support it?
And they're gutless. And I called them out on the show.
Well, good. So, but
that's 90% of Democrats voted for it. 90. That's a familiar number because 90% of Americans
what
want it.
percentage of Republicans voted for the Civil Rights Bill? More than the Democrats. The point is, this happens every day in politics. So, I mean, you know, to think that all of a sudden the Republicans should all of a sudden in a bill that by and large even Joe Biden said, I'm not quite sure if this is going to save any lives.
Time.
We've heard this over and over again.
Out,
There's a lot of feel-good, nice stuff.
Time out. You're right, in that it may happen. But we're now talking a post-Newtown America, okay? I know you supported the background check idea. I know, wait a minute. I know that I've heard other lawmakers say, Coburn, for crying out loud, support it, and then all of a sudden the Larry Pratts of the world and the lunatic fringe say they're going to primary him, and all of a sudden he changes his mind. And now to hear that they believe in it, they think it's good policy, but you know what, I can't do it because, well, you know, it's going to be seen as a victory.
Put up the poll again. Who do you trust more on gun laws? Republicans and not the president. The bottom line, you just said it, Newtown. How would background checks have stopped Newtown? It wouldn't have stopped Newtown.
But Tom, what did you say? If it saved one life, you'd do it.
Listen, again, I believe in background checks because I think it's common sense stuff. But again, it's incumbent on the President of the United States to get everybody together and work with everybody.
Why?
Because he's the President of the United States.
No.
Okay, so his legacy.
The Senate and the House votes on stuff all the time. You're saying, if I read between the lines what Toomey said, if the president basically gets out of the way, we'll do it. But if he supports something, then we can't do it.
Look at immigration.
That sounds infantile.
But no, it doesn't. Look at immigration. You got senators on both sides of the aisle who have come together in a bipartisan way, and now Obama wants to meddle in there and throw lesbian, gay issues into it. He's always meddling into the situation.
You gave him crap because he was sitting on the sidelines too much, and now he's just starting to have dinners. Now all of a sudden he's invested in the issue, front and center on the guns.
With poison pills. On the immigration side
I'm talking about the gun thing, which was a stripped down, bare bones, really straightforward background check. It wasn't complicated. For me, Dominic, this wasn't a tough thing to hoe. And now to hear this, I don't know, it just confirms all the worst suspicions about Washington or about government, is that these guys are in it for number one, principle be damned.
Really? Really?
But I didn't think it was this bad.
You're shocked by this?
No, but I thought enough of them weren't as crass.
But here's the ultimate crass ones. The ultimate crass ones are the 4 Democrats up for re-election this year. You can't get any more crass than that. They're up for re-election.
I have one worse than that. To make your point, Max Baucus isn't even running for re-election.
Exactly.
But those Democrats represent Arkansas, Alaska, Montana, and I forget where the 4th vote came from. But these are that's right, South Dakota. These are pro-gun states. These are heavily rural gun states, and they're voting the interests of their states. Which, if you want to keep harping on the 4 Democrats, the 4 who voted no, as opposed to the 43 Republicans who voted no.
How about forget about the principle? How about the politics?
The one I have a problem with is Flake in Arizona because he told the family that he was for background checks.
And then the next day he voted the other.
Right, but if I went across the board, I would find very few Republicans in Republican states that normally I think that they would stay with the gun.
Can I ask a question? You know, I don't want you to point to the clock and go.
You're not going to bring race into this, are you?
No. Okay. Why would I bring race into this topic?
I didn't know.
Why would I bring in race? But I do ask this question: why are they so adamantly against this president? Why is it so particular that they don't work with this president?
Please.
Why?
They voted. The House voted to impeach Bill Clinton. Let's not make like because he's an African American. They all went to dinner with him recently. They don't care what color his skin is.
Richard. I didn't bring up the race card. But I'm just going to say this.
Do you really believe that?
With all my heart and being. And I know what I'm talking about. And let me just say this. I recently watched the movie 42 about Jackie Robinson. When you're the first black baseball player.
Yeah, we know who he is.
Yes, I did.
We know who he is.
And I know you know baseball much more than anybody here at the table. But Richard, right. But when you're the first of anything, you're always going to face the most challenges. And this president, I guarantee you, I want you to write down this day in this clip. When he writes his life story, what do you think he's going to say the number one impediment impediment to him getting things done.
He's
going to say because he was a black
organizer.
man.
He's
no,
a community
he's going to say because he was a black man and because many of these Republicans didn't respect him.
Elected president of the United States.
Right. Did the Republicans have anything to do with that?
Listen, I didn't want to go down this road, but Tom, I didn't hear any of the previous presidents being called Muslim sleeper cell agents, socialists, and all.
Kenya.
Without not real Americans. Oh, I don't think that was the gun vote. I don't think that's what was it about. But okay, now listen. Maybe this part we can't agree on. In case you weren't convinced that something has to change, I want you to consider. Forget all the numbers and the 4,000 plus people who've died since Newtown at the end of a gun. I just want you to think about the insanity that after Newtown, we're exactly where we were from the day that shooting happened. Not a single thing has changed. In fact, if anything, as Andrew says, gun laws have been rolled back since, okay? But I want you to consider the following. Earlier this week, many of you may have seen the story. A 5-year-old Kentucky boy who was playing with a rifle accidentally shot and killed his 2-year-old sister. Now, the gun that was used was a gift that the boy had received last year. It's called a Cricket. It's a rifle made by Keystone Sporting Arms, which markets this gun to children with the slogan, "My First Rifle." Some are even available in hot pink. That's creative marketing. A visit to the Kids Corner page of the Keystone website shows some pretty unbelievable images. The web page has now been taken down, but you can see right here for yourself a look at the guns and the ages of the kids posing with them, including, as I said, in colors made for boys and girls.
Hey, where's he going?
Shoot my new cricket rifle.
I wish I had one.
My first rifle, a moment you'd never forget. The Cricket is the perfect way to get younger small-framed shooters started right with a safety-promoting design. It's soft shooting, affordable, and accurate. Girls and even mom will love the way they can pick one to their own taste. Start your own tradition. Cricket. Find yours online or ask for a Cricket rifle at your local dealer.
You know, there's no point even to beat it to death. It's just, I think it speaks for itself. Federal law, just if anybody wonders, no minimum age to own a gun, okay? Now, other examples of our American gun laws at work, more than 40 states currently let you bring a concealed handgun. You got a permit for it, but you can bring a concealed handgun into a bar. And more could also be joining the list here. Buying ammo, virtually unregulated. Ammo sellers don't have to even be licensed. Purchasers don't need to have any kind of background check, but you already knew that. Federal law doesn't prohibit unsafe domestically produced firearms from even entering the market. So you're beef regulated, but your guns not so much. And finally, people on the terror watch list are not blocked from buying guns. So please, everybody, when we say things are so hard, after the Cricket and what I just told you, we can do better than this. We'll be right back after the break.